In this UX tea break, I answer a question about the kind of questions you should ask when you go out and do a product discovery interview. So this question came from Daniel Cranky. Daniel was an attendee on a seminar that I ran with my co-author, Philip Hodgson. And Daniel asked this question: can you please tell me a few open-ended questions you always ask in product discovery interviews in order to learn more about the problem space? In fact, I can do, Daniel, because there are literally 2 questions that I commonly ask. But I don't really think this is the answer that you wanted, because I'm asked this question many times by other people, and they say to me, usually it takes this kind of form, I'm going out on a field visit, what questions should I ask? It's as if I've got this kind of secret list of questions that if you only knew what they were, you would perfectly gain fantastic insights into users and their needs. You won't be surprised to know that's not actually the case. But early on in my career, I did used to put together long lists of questions that I would take out with me, and gradually I realised this isn't the way to do a field visit. But I dug through my hard disk and I found a document where I had those questions, and I thought I'd share that with you. Let's have a look at that now. So in this particular document, what you'll find is a list of questions that I've used before when I've been doing field visits. So for example, goal-oriented questions, what makes a good day or a bad day? System-oriented questions, like what are the most common things you do with a product? Workflow-oriented questions, what did you do when you first came in today? And so on and so on. There's a whole long list of questions there. What I'll do is I'll provide a link to this document in the description below. Feel free to download it and do whatever you want with it. I'm not going to go through all of those questions. It would make a pretty boring video. Instead, I'll tell you what I do now, which is I don't ask those questions. And I certainly don't prepare them ahead of a field visit. Instead, there are only 2 questions I'm interested in asking when I go out on a field visit. Once you know these 2 questions, you can ask them in any particular situation, in any context, and you'll get insights into users and their goals. So the first question is about asking for a demonstration from users. What you want to do is see the way they go about doing the meaningful activity. So you ask them, how do you normally go about doing this task? And you do that by asking a very simple question: can you show me how you? And obviously you need to complete that stem with the rest of the question or the meaningful activity that you're interested in. As users start doing that meaningful activity, other questions will occur to you that you'll ask. By all means, you can fire those questions as well while they're going through the session, or you can just be quiet and just observe the user doing the meaningful activity, which will require them to be using lots of different devices and systems, maybe making phone calls, going about their life, because remember, a meaningful activity is rarely supported by a single product or website. So that's the first thing that we can ask, the first type of question. The second question that I'll ask, because sometimes people are not always able to recreate certain things that happened in the past, I'll ask them to tell me a story about a time when they did something. And to do that, I'll simply say, can you tell me about a time when? And that might be, can you tell me about a time when the system didn't work as you expected? Can you tell me about a time when you wanted to do this activity and something else happened? Can you tell me about a time when things went perfectly? What you'll then do is get a story from your user about the experience. And the great thing about stories is they have beginnings, they have middles, and they have an end. And that means when the user starts drying up, you know the next question to ask. What happened next? And you could even go back in time, what happened before that? So with those 2 questions, can you show me how you, to get a demonstration? And can you tell me about a time when, to get a story? You can cover everything that you need to in a field visit, and the other questions that you need to ask will be obvious to you as the user's going through it. So you don't need that list of prepared questions. Well, I hope you found that useful. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up. And if there's a question you'd like me to answer in a future video, please post that below.